On a targeting screen somewhere inside the American command network, a vehicle moves across Iran. At first, it is only a shape in the desert. Then the feeds begin to converge. A satellite image places it near a suspected launch site. A drone tracks its movement. Radar and signals data connect it to a known military unit. Previous imagery shows where it came from. Seconds later, a red box appears. Target found. A human officer still has to review the evidence. A commander still has to authorize any strike. But before either of them makes a decision, an artificial intelligence system has already determined which object deserves their attention. So when the coordinates reach an aircraft and a weapon is released, who actually chose the target? The officer or the machine that placed it at the top of the list? That question stopped being hypothetical during the 2026 U.S. campaign against Iran. According to the Pentagon's chief artificial intelligence officer, the military used the Maven smart system across strike missions during Operation Epic Fury. The campaign generated a scale of machine-assisted targeting that would have been almost impossible only a few years earlier. Roughly 13,000 targets processed in 38 days. Maven did not pull a trigger. Publicly, the Pentagon insists that humans retained control over lethal decisions. But that answer hides the more important issue. A system does not need permission to fire in order to influence who gets fired upon. It can decide what humans see first, what looks suspicious, what appears urgent, and how much time remains to question it. To understand whether Pentagon AI is choosing targets in Iran, we need to follow one target through the machine. And the first surprise is that Maven is not one all-knowing robot. It is something more powerful, a system built to connect nearly everything the military can see. Iran is one of the hardest targeting environments on Earth. It is almost 4 times the size of Iraq. Missile launchers can leave hardened shelters, fire, and disappear before aircraft arrive. Air defense batteries can move. Command posts can hide inside civilian areas. Nuclear infrastructure can be buried beneath mountains. And cheap decoys can be made to resemble assets worth millions of dollars. The United States watches this environment through satellites, reconnaissance aircraft, drones, radar, intercepted signals, intelligence reports, and years of stored imagery. The problem is not a lack of information. The problem is that no human team can examine every feed, compare it with every database, and update thousands of possible targets at battlefield speed. That is the problem Project Maven was created to solve. Launched in 2017, it initially used computer vision to help analysts identify objects in enormous volumes of drone footage. The idea was simple. Let algorithms search every frame so human analysts could focus on the moments that mattered. But detecting an object was only the beginning. The real military advantage would come from connecting detection to decision, and decision to a weapon before the target could escape. Today, Maven functions less like a single piece of software and more like a control tower for the battlefield. First, it ingests information. Full motion video from drones, satellite photographs, radar tracks, signals intelligence, unit reports, known facilities, previous movements. Each source is incomplete. Together, they create a pattern. Second, the system aligns that information in time and space. A vehicle seen by a satellite in the morning may be the same vehicle detected by a drone 30 minutes later. Maven helps connect those observations instead of leaving them trapped in separate screens and databases. Third, computer vision models detect and classify objects. Is that shape a truck, a launcher, an air defense radar, or a harmless construction vehicle? The answer is not certainty. It is a probability, supported by other evidence. Fourth, the system ranks what deserves attention. A truck driving through Tehran is ordinary. The same truck leaving a known missile complex, stopping near a radar site and transmitting on a military frequency is different. Maven can surface that object, connect it to a unit, and place it before a targeting team. Finally, humans validate the intelligence, consider the law of armed conflict, choose or reject a weapon, and pass an approved target to the force capable of striking it. That sounds like a clear division? The machine recommends, the human decides, but the division becomes less clear when the machine is also determining which evidence is visible, which target appears first, and which threat is labeled most urgent. During the 2026 campaign, that pipeline operated at extraordinary scale. Reuters reported that the Pentagon moved to make Palantir's Maven platform a core command and control system after it supported thousands of U.S. strikes on Iran. The system analyzed streams from satellites, drones, radar, and other sensors. Separate reporting said Maven, working with large language models, helped generate coordinates, organize target information, and prioritize hundreds of possible strikes. In the opening phase, American forces reportedly attacked roughly 1,000 targets in 24 hours. At that pace, traditional target folders, assembled manually over days or weeks, would become obsolete before they were finished? Maven compressed the cycle from detection to decision. This does not mean the AI invented targets from nothing. A legitimate target still required supporting intelligence and human review. Nor do public records reveal the model, confidence threshold, or exact chain used for any specific strike. Those details remain classified. What is confirmed is more consequential. AI is not sitting in a laboratory while the Iran war unfolded. It was inside the operational system that helped forces find, organize, and act against targets. And this is where the meaning of human in the loop becomes critical. Because there is not just one human, and there is not just one decision. A modern strike can involve imagery analysts, intelligence officers, target developers, military lawyers, commanders, air crews, and weapons specialists. Each person answers a different question. Is the object correctly identified? Is it a lawful military objective? Are civilians nearby? Which weapon could achieve the objective with the least collateral damage? Is the information still current? Officially, AI does not replace those judgments, but it can shape every one of them. Imagine that Maven examines 10,000 objects and presents 20. The human reviews all 20 carefully. The final authorization is genuinely human, yet the machine has already made a decision with enormous consequences. The other 9,980 objects never entered the room. Then comes ranking. If one target appears at the top with a high confidence score and a warning that it may move in 3 minutes, the recommendation creates pressure. The officer can reject it. But rejecting a machine-supported warning may feel riskier than accepting it. This is automation bias, the tendency to trust a system because it appears to have processed more information than any person could. The faster the battlefield moves, the stronger that pressure becomes. The human may sign the order, but the machine increasingly frames the choice. And Iran understands this. Its best defense may not be to hide from the algorithm. It may be to give the algorithm exactly the pattern it expects to see. Every targeting system depends on inputs. If those inputs are incomplete, outdated, or deliberately manipulated, speed can amplify the mistake. Iran can move launchers beneath camouflage, limit radio emissions, and use underground tunnels to separate where a weapon is stored from where it appears. It can place decoys in locations satellites are likely to observe. It can imitate the heat signature, dimensions, or movement pattern of a real system. And it can position military equipment close to civilian infrastructure, making recognition easier, but a lawful strike far more complicated. The danger is not only misidentifying an object, it is identifying the correct object at the wrong moment. A launcher detected an hour ago may have moved. A building that contained commanders yesterday may contain civilians today. A vehicle classified correctly may be operating under a completely different context. Confidence scores can conceal that uncertainty. 90% confidence sounds decisive, but across thousands of targets, even a small error rate can produce repeated failures. Worse, an adversary can study which behaviors attract attention and manufacture those behaviors elsewhere. This creates an algorithmic contest. The United States tries to shorten the kill chain. Iran tries to poison, delay, or redirect it. One side uses AI to find patterns. The other survives by turning those patterns into traps. And once the system is operating at the scale seen in 2026, a mistake is no longer isolated. It can move through the entire network as quickly as a correct identification. If an AI-assisted strike hits the wrong target, who is responsible? The software company can say its system only organized data. The analyst can say the model produced a high-confidence match. The commander can say the intelligence was validated. The operator can say the target was approved. Every statement may be technically true and still leave the central failure unexplained. Military law does not transfer responsibility to an algorithm. Commanders remain accountable for distinction, proportionality, and precautions in attack. But accountability becomes harder to trace when a recommendation is built from models, sensor feeds, and automated rankings that no single person fully understands. Explainability matters because a target is not only a coordinate, it is a claim that this object is military, that the information is current, that the expected advantage justifies the risk, and that the selected weapon is appropriate. AI can make that claim faster. It cannot make the legal and moral uncertainty disappear. The Pentagon argues that speed saves lives by finding threats before they can launch and by selecting more precise options. That can be true, but speed also reduces the time available for dissent, second opinions, and new intelligence to arrive. The same system can therefore produce two opposite outcomes: a more precise strike because it fused better data, or a faster mistake because humans trusted the fusion too quickly. The classified record of the Iran campaign will determine which happened more often. The public does not yet have that answer. For most of modern history, military power was measured in platforms: aircraft, ships, missiles, and tanks. AI adds another measure: the time required to understand the battlefield and act. If two forces detect the same mobile launcher, the winner may not be the one with the better aircraft. It may be the one that can connect the sensor, identify the object, approve the target, and deliver coordinates before the launcher returns underground. That is why Maven matters. Palantir describes the platform as supporting an AI-powered kill chain. Army exercises have shown small teams using Maven to perform targeting work that once required vastly larger staffs. And after the Iran campaign, the Pentagon's decision to make the system part of its core command architecture suggests that this was not a temporary experiment. But dependence creates a new vulnerability. A force that relies on one system to combine its battlefield picture also creates a valuable target for cyber attack, corrupted data, and electronic deception. If Maven becomes the nervous system, an adversary does not need to destroy every weapon. It can try to confuse the nerves. The next arms race is therefore not simply artificial intelligence against human intelligence. It is one military's algorithm against human intelligence. It is one military's algorithm against another military's ability to deceive it. So is Pentagon AI choosing targets in Iran? In the legal and official sense, no. Public policy requires humans to retain judgment over lethal force, and there is no public evidence that Maven independently authorized or launched a US weapon. But in the operational sense, AI is now performing parts of the choice that matter most. It can identify possible targets, connect them to military units, rank their urgency, help generate coordinates, and determine which options reach human decision-makers first. Calling that only a recommendation understates its power. A recommendation produced at machine speed, from more data than any individual can examine, becomes the architecture of the decision. The officer still chooses from the menu. Maven increasingly helps write the menu. That distinction is the real story of AI warfare. The machine does not need to replace the commander. It only needs to make itself indispensable to the commander's view of reality. And that creates the next danger. If Iran learns what the system notices, it can build a battlefield designed not to defeat America's weapons, but to deceive the intelligence guiding them. The next war may be decided by the side that creates the most convincing false target. If you want the next investigation into who is building AI weapons for America, subscribe and turn on notifications. And tell us in the comments, if a machine selects the options and a human approves one, who made the decision?